Right. Kia ora koutou, ko Jane Large, toko ingoa. As Susan said, I'm the project manager for the Waipounamu pilot. And today I'd like to look at, there was a little bit, some of what Susan said is fully accurate and some of it I'll update you on. But we will look at what is this, what have we done in the pilot? Is it fun and does it make a difference? I'd like to say all of our sites have a collaboration in our partnership with an Alzheimer's team or a dementia team, and so we collaborate with Dementia Canterbury, and a lot of what Daryl spoke about that Riha experienced is what we're finding. We're not the post-diagnosis, we are a respite group. So let's have a look at what we found. Bevan, next slide, thanks. So respite is a break for the carer, and what we know, limited options for a person with dementia mati wari for respite, particularly in rural areas. Often there's not any service available. There's certainly limited options for young onset dementia in some centres. In the bigger centres, there might be things that they can receive respite in. And there are a few options for kaupapa Maori respite for a person with dementia mati wari. These two photographs here is our very first home share group did an outing, invited the families along also, and they went to a bay in the Marlborough Sounds, and it recharged the batteries. So, you know, we get out and about together. Next slide, thanks, Bevan. So we were quite ambitious. We've got 11 organisations involved now. We've listed them all there. And we said from the beginning we would be aiming to deliver 17 sites. The little green dots, if you can see them, are operational across Te Waipounamu. And the pink dots are 2 extras that because we were slow to start, we've got a little bit of money that we've held over and we're now using it. So our extras will be a second young onset dementia home share group in Motueka. I mean, we call it home share, but they might not be based in a home. And also an extra kaupapa Maori in Blenheim with a collaboration with Ngāti Rārua. Next slide, thanks, Bevan. So this is what we planned when we had our discussions, is that we wanted to provide respite that was stimulating for those who attended and fun. That was important to us, to provide cognitive stimulation, support some physical activity, encourage socialisation, foster friendships, and the people who attend have enjoyment. And that was important to us because we wanted those who come to enjoy it so that their whānau will feel good about them attending. Next slide, thanks, Bevan. So Dementia Mati Wari Home Share, it's small groups of 4 to 6 people. They meet, there is a host and a volunteer for each group and a coordinator supporting them. So the host is funded. It's not a volunteer run service, but there is a volunteer who participates too and has fun. And all of those have education from our ALS-DEMS teams. It's 7 2-hour packages. So we meet in, we call it home-like environments. It might be a private home, but we're finding 50% of the time it's in another venue. They meet from around about, sometimes earlier than 10, but 10 until 3, and that includes the travel because these are rural locations, so the travel might be reasonable. They get a chance to get to know each other. They plan together to do fun things, and we aim for an outing at least once a month. And the photographs here is from a community centre in Havelock. Havelock's the top of the South Island, and it's 45 minutes from any main base. It's a very villagey, small place. They definitely wanted, they knew in their community they needed this. They got behind it. said, please use our community centre. So for us, if we're not using a home, it's important we have access to a kitchen, a toilet, a dining table where you can sit and eat meals or, do activities, comfortable seating if you want a rest, and an outdoor area with a secure fence. And these photos were taken before we established. We've been running 18 months from here, and the community is right behind it. The local school does a visit once a month, and the kids read to the with the participants, and we use the school bus. They've made that available to go on outings, and but anyway, the fence, we got a secure fence. The local, I think Lions or Rotary put up a secure fence before we even opened, and local fishermen drop off fish for meals and fruit, veg, eggs, all of those things. Next slide, thanks, Bevan. So the day starts with a karakia or a kariro, and there's a discussion about what the plan will be like. And sometimes our hosts have had a plan for the day, and the participants say, we fancy going for a coffee. And so that plan gets put aside and they might do something else. But it's good to have an outline. And a photograph here is of a group that absolutely love housing. They play for chocolate bars, and I left it so you could see the smiles on the faces, and they talk about all the smiling that they do wherever they go, petting zoos, wherever they go. Yeah, next slide, please, Bevan. So the visits, they do outings. It might be movies, museums, cafes, picnics, parks, beaches, waterfronts, strawberry farm, petting zoos, visiting local cemeteries, and they quite enjoy that, and reading the headstones of their whānau and friends. It's limitless. It turns out that the South Island's got so many beautiful places that you can visit, and the activities, can't list them all, but around the interest of those people who attend, crafts and baking, meal preparation, competitions. There's actually a corn toss cup somewhere down south that they play for. Bingo, we've said. Daily stuff. They love to do quizzes. We all love to do quizzes. And I was sent this. We've got a group that the way they run it, one of the participants reads the questions, and then all of the six, the host and the volunteer, and then the guests who attend, decide on what the answer might be. And here they were rapt that they got such a great score, and some I rapt too. Next slide, thanks. Lots of reminiscing goes on in formal ways and informal ways, using photographs. Our Kaupapa Māori group does a lot of reflection on the treaty, reading old newspapers, but they also do things, the calendar events, like it might be Easter, and just discussions around how did you celebrate Easter, in your childhood, and there'll be discussions around the group. So next slide. Challenges, we've had many, but the benefit of so many organisations is that we find solutions together. Starting up any service in small rural locations is very difficult because often there's no other services. So as well as us having to find a venue and a host and volunteers, we also then need to find the guests to attend. They're not known. Our NAS service, they're fabulous, and it's a great, we need it, but they only usually do assessments for people who are looking to access a service. If there's no services in a community, there's no need to have an needs assessment. Most of our Manuhiri guests have got no diagnosis, and together we worked out a process for how we can support them to working with our ALS DEMS teams who are, do this every day. support people to get a diagnosis. The photograph there is in a local pub where they all went out for a pub lunch and enjoyed it, and baking a birthday cake in a separate group. Next slide, thanks, Bevan. So success is, for us, a person with dementia, mati wari wari, having fun is a success. And we've got that happening in 17 locations and 2 more that we're about to start up. They're broadly some similar groups, but locally unique. On the left there is an extract from, we do an annual survey for our Manuhiri guests and whānau, and in that we ask the whānau, is the home share important to you? And you can see the result there. And for us, you know, it's a respite service. We want to support the carer, and to have 100% saying it is working for them is great. And, you know, these are another couple of shots. It was a short walk, actually, from the home share to the plum tree, and they were out picking plums. And then there's another group there having a picnic in the middle of the South Island, actually. Next slide, thanks. Where am I going? So what have we learned? We've learned lots, that participating in small groups, like Daryl said, we're learning it can be therapeutic. Participants have fun, they express their personalities, it highlights a person's strengths, and it fosters bonding. They do actually get to grieve in the group, and then they support each other. So if there's tears, there's somebody there, and it allows the person to come to terms with where they're at the time. There's been a noticeable decrease in loneliness, and they gain confidence together. We've had people attending who haven't been out for a year or two because they live with family who are too busy on a weekend with teenagers involved in sport, and they get to start visiting places that they're familiar with and revisiting new places. Next slide, thanks, Bevan. We're proud of heaps of things, but our most recent development is He Puka Puka Roemi. It's our, alongside the education that's provided by our ALS DEMS teams, we've got this manual that all of us work together on. So a small group actually moved it forward, but including our whānau and our Manuhiri guests, all of our hosts. So it's all the practical gold nugget type things in those headings, and we're getting feedback. We've only just finished it, it's been circulated, and the feedback is it's absolutely amazing and really great for new hosts to feel confident to, you know, run a day successfully. So yeah, we're happy with this. Next slide, thank you. I'll just run you through these photos, and then we'll finish and look at questions. So top left, we've got groups that like to do outdoor games, and top right is, look at the beautiful scenery. Oh my goodness, on our way to Tekapo. At the bottom right, we've got a group that it's in a small community. They don't even have a warehouse. So for them, going on a visit one day to the warehouse, some people bought tops. We do, some of our groups go to op shops too, and they do some purchases. Might be, you know, what do they want to do? And if that's what they want to do, that's what we support them to do. This chap here loves sport, and he got himself involved in watching sport on the televisions at warehouse. And the bottom left, so in our rural communities, our dairies and delis get on board and produce little boxes of picnic food for when we do outings. And I'd like to say I'd love to join their outings when picnic food looks like that. That's all from, there's heaps more things to tell, but I've gone way over. Any questions?
We have got some questions and comments, Jane. It's such a very, very cool project. So Paul has a couple of comments, but he says, just how much he loved the way that the community have come on board and that you're so integrated, because that's what you really wanted, wasn't it? To
We
be
want,
local, and the school bus and the fishermen dropping off. And it must also, really help the sustainability Paul's pointing out of the respite services to have that kind of support.
well, yeah, definitely. In the very, very smallest community, if the community didn't get around it wouldn't survive. So it's a vulnerable model, it's but it's a flexible model. So what we've found, once you're experienced and get going, it takes ages for people to get the head around. Sounds simple. Well, you just need a venue and you need a host and you need a volunteer. Sounds simple, but once you've got some experience, we could set these up anywhere. They will fit in your community, everyone. These are, and so we've got our Kaupapa Māori specific and all the things that Hari spoke in his story are coming through from our Kaupapa Māori ones. It's beautiful to see and hear.
Yeah. And again, from Paul, talking about the things that, it's such a widespread, with your 17, two more to come, and some of the things that help with setting up and sustaining these. And you have been very careful about your coordinator model. And I wonder if you just want to sort of talk through a little bit about how these groups are supported by, the coordinators and the local dementia organisations.
Right. So, of those 11 organisations, in every locality across the island, we have an Alzheimer's team or a dementia team. Alzheimer's, we call them the ALSDEMs. And then there is another organisation involved, and they're like home care. Some of our model's a bit of a mixed model in a way, in that some of our Alzheimer's teams have said, I think we could just give this a go alone. And they've done that. So Alzheimer's Otago run 4 different sites. Alzheimer's Marlborough, who were the first one, went, shouldn't we try this? They run it. So in Marlborough, they run their own. Both Marlborough and Otago also collaborate with another organisation to provide the education. So all the education is provided through our ALSDEMS teams. And then, so what we have settled into is that we have about 4 to 6 weekly meetings of leaders, which includes our ALSDEMS teams and leaders, and they are the decision makers about. And then we have 4 weekly meetings with coordinators, because we feel like that a host and volunteer needs, they're out in a rural area, phone call contact only for somebody maybe an hour away. They need to be able to feel like they can say, get here fast. All of them get a cell phone. Actually, in Havelock, there's no cell phone coverage. So it's really, relying on the community, and the community does wrap around them. But as well as that, twice a year, our hosts who are this whole thing, yes, you need structure, but our hosts are just those people who have got the X factor. They've just got something in their heart that is glowing. They're amazing, amazing people. They understand. They might not use the word of person-centered, but they deliver it, and they're keen, and they want to have fun, and they want to see those participants having fun, and they talk about, the participants talk about, they feel like they've got a friend, and they feel like they fit. And we all want to feel like we fit, don't we? So, and our hosts make that happen, really. They need support, though. So the coordinator, every area has got a coordinator. So some of our coordinators might manage 4, some might just manage 2, but they're overseeing it, yeah. And they all have education from our our STEMS teams.
And Kristen was just wondering how you managed to find these amazing hosts.
I know. You try everything. I mean, they used to even run ads in papers and ads on radio. But what we found is just like a little, would you like to be involved? We're going to have some fun with a day share with a person who has dementia, and you might like to get involved to be a host and run the session, or to be a volunteer and join the session. And in one area, we've got a person who says, use my house, but I don't want to be the host. And so the two neighbours down is the host who goes to that house that's beautiful, out looking over a lake down there in sort of Otago. It's like we thought we were starting out in private homes. 50% of our things are not in a home; they're in a community venue that's homely. And actually, that strengthens our model, because if somebody is away, we can get somebody else in for that session. When things that we do, if our host is sick, they need their own home to be sick in. So let's head to the library, and it might be the library, the cafe, if the weather's good, picnic outside. We find other things. It might be a touring day where we go and visit the aerodrome. They're very think on the feet type people, and our manual helps them to come up with these ideas. What happens if things don't go according to plan? So, yeah.
Yep.
How
Now,
do you find?
the manual, we do have someone just wondering if that might be something that you're considering sharing more widely.
I would. Susan G knows that Jane Large would love to share this way more widely. I don't feel like that I own it, and it will be a discussion we'll have to have with our partner, so that I can take that question. We
Thank
get all of
you.
our decisions made at the Leaders Hui, and we can take it and say we've had this request now. Honestly, is blown me away. It really is it's a good practical resource. So I'd love to share it, but I can't. I'm not the decision maker.
Yeah. And
We'll find out though.
thank you. Now, Carolyn is in awe of the things that you're doing, loving that you're getting out, loving that you've got this kind of green prescription with exercise. But she's just wondering, do the concerns about risks ever stop the hosts from doing things? How are you managing that thing between offering so many wonderful things and, managing risk? I know that's not an easy question.
Well, it is actually. There's two things that we do. We accept that risk is in everybody's home, but we do have an environmental safety check that we use, developed together, along with our ALSDEMS teams. So any venue that we use, we're checking that, and we might recheck it, when there's a change. And also we modified it recently because they were using it as it was, the way we developed it, for outings. I mean, we can do better than that. So we modified it and we call it our environmental and outing safety check. So every time they're going to do an outing, they do, have we got level paths that we can use? What's the highway like? We're likely going to get run over, or we include like flood events and all of those. So that handles that. There are things, as much as you can consider, you consider it. But any one of us, we say, you could be walking on level ground and your knee gives way, you'll go down. We've got this other thing called a grab and go bag. And it's a list of contents that we keep in a bag that when you're on an outing, you take that with you. And so they take either a first aid kit, and we see ourselves, if somebody fell down, and hopefully it never happens, but maybe they do fracture the hip. Could happen to any of us. Your knee gives way, you go down. You've checked all the, it was a smooth path. If they go down, our job is, ring an ambulance, but keep them warm keep them comfortable. And so we need things in our grab and go bag. We've got like a foil blanket, dressing pads, So we plan for everything going well, but we've got sort of backup things for if something should go untoward. So far, we've only had one incident, and it was an incident of delirium in the travel. We did an investigation. We learned some things together, and delirium education went into our manual. Thank you, Susan.
I love that. And we've just got a comment really from Kristen, who's just saying that, we talk about respite for the carer, but, Kristen's listening to these amazing days that people have. And she's saying, it's kind of like respite for the person with dementia. They get out from their homes, they get this totally different but very familiar day.
And like we've had people about 25%. So we keep figures too. In 10 minutes, I didn't think I could put it, but we keep figures. About 25% of our whānau said that they noticed an improvement in language skills for those who attended. We had one wife who wrote to us in the last 6 months. We had 22 people leave across the island, 22 leave, 22 new. 21 of those went into long-term care. So we expected we were delivering a service for people with mild to moderate. And as long as we can meet their needs, they can stay in our service. If behaviour got really challenging, we wouldn't be able to cope with that. If there was too much incontinence, we wouldn't be able to cope with that with our staff, model. But so we had a wife of a person with young onset dementia who wrote to us afterwards, and their husband had lost a lot of his speech and still came, but he did have to leave to go into care. But she said for the whole time that he attended, he just smiled a lot more. And why wouldn't respite be therapeutic? Why? And that's what we found. We can do that. A lot of our hosts and volunteers have had CST training from Kathy Perry. Of course, we can't deliver CST. They're only coming once a week, but we can build the principles into what we do. So, yeah, it's a degenerative condition. We can see people, but in their journey of progression, they can enjoy. Like Daryl said, it's this moment that you enjoy, enjoy this moment.
Oh, thank you so much, Jane. We've got a beautiful final comment just from John, who says that he's been so encouraged by Daryl and Jane. So many amazing practical things being done in the community. I'm a bit speechless. So you're just awesome. Thank you so much.